Hi everyone! My Barracks and Fire Emblem heroes is full, so I started making a personal list on which heroes I wanted to keep and send home, starting with the red units, and thought I would share this list with you. So just as a disclaimer, I still recommend keeping at least one copy of each unit, and really only sending home units when your barracks are full and you need the space. I've also left out 5-star exclusive units as well as Grand Hero Battle units from this list because I tend to want to keep all of those. And of course, this is just my opinion, and other people are probably gonna have different opinions from me. So I'll start with the characters that I'm keeping every single copy of, and this is mostly because they have very highly sought after skills for skills inheritance. So first up is Roy, and he's the only source of Triangle Adept 3 at 4 stars. And I highly value Triangle Adept 3, firstly because it syncs super well with the Raven tomes, and secondly it can really transform a unit with middling stats to be a specialist at countering an opposing color. Triangle Adept not only increases your offense against an opposing color, but it also increases your bulk by reducing damage taken against them as well. So next up is PALLA, and I'm definitely keeping all PALLAs because she's one of the only sources of Moonbow, the other being Odin. And secondly, she gets Wings of Mercy 2 at 4 stars. The only other way to get Wings of Mercy 3 is to get a CAIN at 4 stars. And of course, she comes with gold flyers, which means if you want to build a flyer emblem team eventually, PALLA would be good to pass on the gold flyers too. And next we have HINATA, and HINATA is the only source of Fury 3 at 4 stars. And Fury is a pretty good skill to pass on because it increases your stats all across the board at the expense of taking 6 extra damage after battle. And often people who benefit most from this are those with medium to high speed. And this will help them to either double an opponent or prevent opponents from doubling them. And in addition, dropping this 6 extra damage after battle can help some units proc a skill like Desperation in helping them to get to the HP threshold safely. And then we have CAIN. CAIN's the only source of Wings of Mercy 3 at 4 stars, and Wings of Mercy is a great skill to put on your arena defense team for added unpredictability. And then we have LON'QU, who is the only source of Vantage 3 at 4 stars. Vantage is a good skill to put on bulky units that are difficult to kill in one hit, and have sufficient attack power to kill on the counter. So good examples of this are Hector and Takumi. Then we have EIRIKA, who is the only source of Hone Speed 3 at 4 stars apart from Matthew, and apart from that, she can also pass down Pivot and Drag Back. That said, skills inheritance aside, if EIRIKA has good IV such as plus attack or plus speed, she is a good candidate for promotion if you need somebody who is focused on buffing other units. Then we have HANA, and she's the only source of Life and Death 2 at 4 stars. And people often give Life and Death to their glass cannons, such as Kagero, to give them even more attack power. And then there is SELENA, and she's just a skills inheritance godsend. She's got Reposition at 3 stars, and Reposition is my favorite assist skill of all time. And then she gets Triangle Adept 2 at 4 stars, as well as Threaten Speed at 4 stars. To me, Olivia is a must-keep unit and the first I promoted to 4 stars, as having a dancer or 2 definitely helps you with Training Tower, Grand Hero Battles, and Arena. And skill inheritance-wise, Olivia has Hone Attack 3 at 4 stars, the only other being female Corrin. THARJA is a good one to keep because she is one of the better red mages. She has the red Blade Tome, and at 4 stars she comes with Darting Blow 3 and Vengeance. Darting Blow is good to give to those with middling speed who want to double on initiating. Well, Vengeance is a bit of an interesting one because you need to lose a significant amount of health before the damage output becomes more than specials like Bonfire or Iceberg. And the last high priority unit for me is TIKI, and she's got Bonfire, which is a good skill to give to units with high defense as an offensive special. And in addition, her Lightning Breath weapon is a good one to pass on to other dragons to let them counter from any distance. Now I'll talk about the medium priority units, and I keep a couple of copies of these. They do have good skills to pass on, but some of them are quite niche and you don't need too many copies of. The first in this category is Henry, and he is the only source of Green Tome Breaker 3 at 4 stars, as well as the only source of the Red Raven Tome. So Green Tome Breaker 3 is a pretty good skill, but it's also pretty niche and used specifically on builds to counter green mages, such as a green mage countering green mage build, or very rarely some people do make a Hector versus green mage build. His Red Raven Tome is also pretty good to pass down to SOPHIA if you do plan on making a red version of Robin. Next on the list is SOPHIA, and SOPHIA is the only unit who has Fortify Res at 4 stars. And Fortify Res is actually going to come in really useful in helping you take hits from mages, with the mage meta being on the rise. Next up is LASLOW, and he does have X-Breaker 3 at 4 stars as well as Hone Speed 2 at 4 stars. While he's the best source of X-Breaker is very niche because most X units are slow to begin with. So the best use of X-Breaker is usually to give it to a slow green unit who wants to double other X units. Next up is STAHL, and he comes with Swap at 3 stars, which is a good skill to pass on to defensive tanks. In addition, he's got the Ruby Sword, which is a good weapon to pass down to Olivia if you want to build her as a bootleg Azura without needing to sacrifice HINATA or PALLA. Next up is MARTH, and he's got Escape Route and Spur Speed, which are a bit more niche, but he's also got Pivot, which is useful to pass down to armored units. And MARTH in itself, he's not a bad unit to upgrade to 5 stars with good RVs, but the problem is that there are so many excellent sword units out there to compete with, such as Ryoma, Lucina, Ike, and Xander, that it's very hard to justify spending 20,000 feathers on him. And then there is CHROM, whose main claim to fame is that at 5 stars he can learn and pass down Aver. And Aver is one of the skills that apparently will score more for arena runs. Unfortunately, this is going to be very niche because 20,000 feathers is a huge investment for a skill. I keep a copy of Sita because she will have 45 flyers at 4 stars and might be useful one day if I get the resources to build a flyer emblem team. I also keep Eliwood because he's got Ward Cavalry at 4 stars and will be useful for building a horse emblem team. And then I also keep a Drog for his ward armor in the very unlikely case that I get to build an armor emblem team, but this is so unlikely as building one is super expensive. That said, he also has Perviz, which I can put on if I want to focus on a more defensive build. And last, I have the low priority units, which I only keep the best IV copy of. And while these units aren't bad per se, and their skills might not be terrible either, I just feel that there are other units who outclass them or might have better skills to offer. First up is Corrin, and while he's not a bad unit, the problem is that he's competing with the likes of Ryoma and Ike for the role of a sword unit, and so it's tricky to justify promoting him for 20,000 feathers. Skills-wise, he's got Dragonfang at 4 stars and Defense plus 3 at 4 stars, and whilst Dragonfang is not a bad special, most people prefer Draconic Aura because of its faster proc time for more consistent bursts of damage. In a similar vein, there is Fur, who is a source of Glacies at 4 stars. Most people prefer the 3-turn cooldown with Iceberg, but I would say that Glacies has its niche for units whose damage output is so low that they do need the extra burst of damage. Then there is Ogma, who has Defiant Attack 3 as well as Noontime at 4 stars. Defiant Attack is a tricky skill to build with because it doesn't stack with Hone Attack. In addition, a lot of the characters struggle with using that extra attack by the time their HP reaches below 50%, as they are nearly dead. Noontime is an interesting recovery skill, but it's very niche because your damage output needs to be big enough for that 30% heal to make a difference. Siliv has HP plus 5 at 4 stars, and he also comes with Rally Speed. Selif's skills aren't particularly in demand for inheritance, and Selif is also a poor promotion candidate due to him being outclassed by all of the other Red Sword Lords. Lilina has Spur Tech 3 at 4 stars and is the only source of Growing Flame. Unfortunately, neither of the skills are particularly coveted for inheritance. And then there's Ray, and he's the only source of Seal Risk 3 at 4 stars, and he also comes with Rally Attack. Unfortunately, Seal Risk really is not the most flexible B skill to build on. Reason being that a lot of the mages are already nuking what they're designed to nuke, even without a Seal Risk going on. And that's all I have for you today. Until next time, see ya!